Greetings, esteemed guests. Keep your eyes peeled because the current events surrounding Ripple and XRP will be remembered by generations to come as the turning point in history. This is the beginning of the value-added web. A financial revolution unlike anything you have ever witnessed is what we are talking about. The most outrageous aspect, while most folks are still slumbering, the insiders are deftly preparing a system that will allow the everyday, frictionless cross-border movement of trillions of dollars with deep liquidity unmatched by any other digital asset on the earth, all while staring at headlines and hype. XRP is the master key that opens all the doors. Money advice is not what this is. Pay close attention, since this is your chance to experience firsthand what it was like to be an early adopter of Apple products before the iPhone or Amazon when they were selling rare books. Unlike traditional book and phone markets, Ripple is aiming to solve a worldwide financial infrastructure problem of $10 trillion. So much for a specialty. No, that is not conjecture. There is no other mechanism in the world that moves money like that. The mathematics of liquidity shows that a 32 XRP or 100 XRP is not a pipe dream, even though some find the idea amusing. Yes, that is essential. Listen up before we get into the nitty-gritty of liquidity calculations. These are once-in-a-lifetime possibilities, and I've put together something you must have if you wish to make the most of them. Ordinary people can seize them before the world notices. To become a millionaire investor, you need this book. Discover 100x stocks. Plus, it's more than just paper. It includes visuals, videos, and breakdowns to show you the exact method to spot huge chances before they become popular. The comment at the very top of this video has this pinned to it. Also, if you're intent on amassing wealth, you won't be able to resist it. Additionally, in the description, I have included a link to a Moomoo offer where you may receive free NVDA stocks worth up to $1,000 with a simple $100 deposit. It's free value, so don't miss it. Along with that, free value is rare. Returning to the core of the matter, let us now proceed. Due to the fact that Ripple's creation surpasses all expectations, please consider this. It has already been explained in the most basic terms by David Schwartz, Ripple's Chief Technology Officer. Market capitalization increases when prices rise. Greater liquidity is associated with a larger market cap. Plus, with more money in the system, huge payments may be settled without causing any problems. Because of this, you can tell when someone says XRP couldn't achieve that valuation. They're completely mistaken. This has nothing to do with conjecture. Engineering is the subject. In this system, oxygen is the liquid component. In its absence, the whole apparatus grinds to a halt. It allows you to process daily flows of billions or perhaps trillions of data without the system crashing. Things are about to go crazy from here. Right now, take a look at the payment ecosystem. Every single day, JP Morgan alone moves almost $10 trillion. Forex market around the world, about $8 trillion every single day. Swift Music, nearly $5.5 trillion every single day. And it is merely the beginning. Include treasuries, stocks, derivatives, insurance payouts, and tokenized real estate. Big bucks aren't at stake here. The amount in question is far beyond trillions. Imagine a digital rail system carrying quadrillions of dollars worth of value. There must be a bridge asset with infinite liquidity for this to scale. That is XRP, my friends. Sending $100 to a cousin overseas is not what Ripple means when they talk about the Internet of Value. Institutions are allegedly transferring $100 million, $1 billion, or even $10 billion in a single transfer. The market collapses if you attempt to process that using Ethereum or Bitcoin. When prices rise, they fall, and everyone loses. Cryptos with a steady value, same problem. Because each dollar must be backed by fully reserved capital, they reduce liquidity. That checks its own weight. XRP is inversely proportional. It releases capital. It acts as a connecting link, turning the system into a liquid state. Plus, hold on a second, this is not a conspiracy theory. Ripple has already established partnerships with prominent institutions, including governments and central banks, from all around the globe. They will hold off on airing it on CNN until it goes live. However, the tracks are being constructed directly beneath your feet. They've been connecting and testing, and now we're about to launch at a scale that no one can comprehend. Give this some consideration. In 2018, it was predicted that XRP would only require $550 billion in daily turnover to reach $32. Tokenized real estate bonds, derivatives, insurance, and stocks were not even included in those estimations. $1 trillion were unaccounted for. You can see how small that $32 estimate really is, since that everything is going towards tokenization. What we have here is a market that is expanding at a rate that is driving up demand to the point where XRP needs to revalue at a very higher level. Now we will execute a basic example. The market cap for XRP reaches $2 trillion. Do you think that's huge? However, that is 10% of the total asset base if $200 billion worth of transactions pass through it every day. An increase to $400 billion per day would put it at 20%. 10 major institutions, each investing $40 billion, is all that's needed. In comparison to what consumers actually want, that is completely inadequate. That is why liquidity is king, as David Schwartz pointed out. Deep liquidity is essential for these payments to be successful. The system will not work unless XRP's value increases. The insaneness increases when one considers the magnitude of global marketplaces. For real estate, more than $300 trillion, nearly $30 trillion in government debt. Who needs derivatives anyway? Quadrillions. As the foundation for a new financial system is laid on the blockchain, XRP will serve as a connecting asset. There is no going back once those tokenized flows get going. The movement has started. Consider JP Morgan's Tyrone Lobban's admission. Daily trading in USDC and USDT might reach $25 billion. The amount processed nightly by JP Morgan is 400 times larger. No stablecoin can manage that. They stifle the entire system. Instead of stifling it, XRP makes it grow. That's why it's telling when Circle's CEO talks about restrictions and then simultaneously suggests Ripple's software as a possible solution. For this reason, Ripple implemented ODL in a specific manner. After getting institutions on board with the fiat network and the market matured, they turned to ODL. And you know what? Someone has already flipped that switch. This explains the proliferation of liquidity providers, the formation of deeper pools, and the illumination of corridor after corridor. Rather of assembling them like Legos, the parts are being prepared to form the foundation of the new financial internet. The portion that ought to have you sitting up and taking notice is this. There must be zero volatility when this goes live on a large basis. Once trillions start flowing, the system cannot afford irrational swings. Therefore, XRP has to revalue until the liquidity pool is so large that market ripples from transactions worth billions of dollars are negligible. I've done the math. That is the reasoning. This is why I maintain stating that an XRP price of $32 isn't optimal. That's the ground. Insiders realize that XRP is the only asset designed to do the job, while the media debates whether it is dead or alive. A bridge asset with scalable liquidity is necessary for a system that processes millions of tokenized transactions every day and handles trillions in flows. One such bridge is XRP, and once you lay eyes on it, there's no turning back. Banks and international money transfers are only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the scope of what's happening. A global accounting system from the ground up is the subject. Right before our eyes, the traditional money and collateral model is collapsing. $1 trillion have been sitting in collateral reserves and nostro vostro accounts for decades, frozen and unmoved. Reason being, the system could not operate any other way. Capital that has already died is merely decaying. Liquidity is not locked in when XRP is used as a neutral bridge. It is in motion. The writing is effortless. A lot of it grows. The ruling class is currently making preparations for that. This is really insane. A single asset and a single ledger designed to address an issue that has impacted the international monetary system for generations. The currency you're using to settle remains unimportant. With XRP, they're all instantly liquid and swappable. There are no intermediaries, no toll collectors, and no enormous pre-funded accounts that drain trillions. Nobody's exaggerating about that. Okay, I get it. I call that efficiency. And the worst part is this. The vast majority of people still don't believe it since it's still early. For them, this is just a far-fetched hypothesis. Yet I must inquire, when was the last occasion that the world's greatest organizations, including the World Economic Forum, BlackRock, central banks, and payment giants, came together to propose a single solution? Scams won't have their support. Unavoidability forms their rearguard. And XRP is that certainty. Pay close attention to the time. A withdrawal from the WEF is announced by Klaus Schwab. At the same time that the globe moves to digital railroads, Larry Fink of BlackRock, the largest asset manager with $10 trillion under management, assumes the job of chair. So you're saying that's just a coincidence? Not going to happen. BlackRock is already testing the waters with digital assets and moving forward with tokenization. In addition, a neutral bridge is required. In order to function, they require XRP. The serious players are preparing for the largest liquidity migration ever recorded, while the mainstream retail population debates about meme currencies. A couple $1 billion here and there isn't going to cut it. Everything from entire markets to mortgages, treasuries, corporate bonds, stocks, and real estate might be tokenized and settled on blockchain. There are $4 trillion involved. Permit that figure to settle in quadrillions. Because of this, revaluing XRP higher is the only option the system has. The machine won't run without it. Funds are depleted. Organizations are unable to function. It makes everything work seamlessly. The depth of liquidity increases. Prices disappear. The rails are worldwide and react instantly. No, that is not conjecture. You can't escape that. Now try to put yourself in a human's shoes and consider this. Ordinary individuals like you and me finally had a chance to amass the same asset that institutions with $1 trillion budget are going to depend on before they even got in. Can you grasp the rarity of that? You guys from Amazon, Apple, and Microsoft never got the opportunity. Wall Street showed up after the doors had already been closed. You could enter those rooms using XRP. For a long time, it was feasible to accumulate mass. But right now, the time limit is rapidly approaching. Soon, there will be rules. The institutional framework is nearing completion. The day of widespread acceptance is drawing near. We will move on from the retail phase once that occurs. The major participants will control the pool and refuse to sell it to you. This is the reason why the sentence cannot be stopped once it begins. Just like that, ETFs spread. The internet spread in that way. That is the path that tokenized finance will take. It started out slowly, but then it was all over the place. It transforms into a new economy and eventually eats away at the old one. Ripple is already in motion, turning the switch on and off in each partner's bank and corridor. This is the bit that makes me shiver. These systems must not permit volatility once they are operational. That's why it's certain that prices will remain stable at a greater level. XRP will not simply reach $30. Going to $100 isn't the only thing. Those figures make sense when compared to quadrillions. In order for liquidity to function, XRP will revalue to the value that is necessary. That must be done. Nobody's exaggerating about that. The answer is in the numbers. And keep in mind, banks aren't the only ones involved. Clearing, settlement, mortgages, treasuries, insurance, and stocks are just a few of the many significant financial services that are becoming digital. Instantaneous settlement and liquidity are necessities for all of it. XRP resides there. It is known by the intelligentsia, it is known by the institutions, it is known by the constructors. Oh, and you already know it as well. The movement is taking place. The train is in motion. There has been a system flip. Nothing can be undone now. Keep your concentration squarely on the task at hand as we enter the next chapter. The signal is audible despite the background noise. Liquidity calculations are accurate. XRP stands out among digital assets. It will support the monetary system of the future. Watching it makes it impossible to look away. Also, there's no turning back after this train departs from the station. This is what I'll leave you with for now. A decision is available to you. Either you can do nothing and let this change happen on its own, or you can get in the right place at the right time and ride the liquidity tsunami. I wrote Find 100x Stocks, the Ultimate Millionaire Investor Guide, for that exact reason. It lays the groundwork for you to see these kinds of generational possibilities before they burst.